attention to the descriptions under which they fall, such that developments in moral language help constitute the objects they bring to light. The project of this book is to identify a conceptually distinctive way in which language shapes morality by arguing that a certain kind of exercise of our linguistic capabilities simultaneously reveals and reshapes the objective layout of ethical life. I call this moral articulation, the development of new moral concepts to express initially inchoate moral experiences, transforming one's latent sense of moral significance into a distinctively articulable moral claim. I argue that moral articulation follows an expressive logic, according to which acts of expression help constitute the realm of value they simultaneously bring to light. On the one hand, the picture defended here is realist, holding that struggles to articulate new moral concepts like sexual harassment and hate speech are rationally answerable to real value-laden normal phenomena that pre-exist their expression in language. On the other hand, the picture is historically dynamic, holding that moral language is not merely a tool for expressing independent moral truths, but shapes and reshapes the moral phenomena it is brought in to express. The result is a historically sensitive yet objective picture of morals, which emphasizes the role of linguistic expression in developing the ethical form of life we share. The task will be to outline the stages of moral articulation from the inchoate experiences that serve as its impetus to the newly refined claim-making capabilities that serve as its telos. To elaborate this process is to emphasize that the labor of bringing experiences under new descriptions, of piecing together a coherent picture of what exactly has happened, is an ethical task in its own right. This idea is often underplayed in contemporary moral theory, which focuses more attention on assessing situations whose descriptions are already given and analyzing moral judgments and concepts that have already been formed, than the process of forming those descriptions, judgments, and concepts in the first place. In a rush to answer questions of justification and legitimacy, to establish right procedures, ideal contracts, formal standards, rules, and action guidance, moral theory tends to pass over a question that necessarily arises a step before the task of justifying a moral judgment, namely, through what process of articulation has a particular experience arisen to the level of expression such that it can be taken as an object of moral judgment at all. Perhaps this tendency is underwritten by a supposed dichotomy between descriptive and evaluative discourse, which implies that simply to describe an experience or event is neither, as such, to evaluate it, nor to adopt a practical stance toward it, and thus not within the ambit of ethics proper. Whatever the explanation, this book is motivated by the conviction that contemporary moral theory too often focuses its attention solely upon forms of ethical thought and meaning that have already assumed proportional or sentential shape, thus leaving unconsidered the activities of mind and socio-epistemic practice, through which such thoughts, along with the value-laden pictures of the world they express, are pieced together in the first place. This book is a work of moral psychology, yet I wish to emphasize that it does not imply an individualistic approach, as if moral psychology were concerned solely with the intrapsychic dynamics of particular agents, ignoring the social and historical contexts within which they have their home. A number of social philosophical concepts are central to what follows: notions of ideology, epistemic injustice, social critique, counterpublics, moral subcultures, and the trans-individualistic idea of a life form. Though moral articulation has important beginnings in individual experience, the process itself is irreducibly social, as any effort to express moral significance to others invokes the idea, if only in aspiration, of a community with whom that significance can be shared. This is similar to what Kant calls, in the aesthetic context, a sensus communis, the hopeful anticipation of communal meaning built into every evaluative judgment. In some cases of moral articulation, and especially in the early stages, the community will be a narrowly defined